Hello, and welcome to another episode of the High Achieving Female Podcast powered by No. It's Sarah Benkin-Fishy, your host, and I am so excited to introduce you to the Rachel Roff. Rachel is a serial entrepreneur. She's an esthetician of 20 years. She founded the Urban Med Spa and Urban SkinRx brands, which are currently being sold in Target and Ulta Beauty. We are talking today about how she, at the age of 24 years old, started her business and scaled it up beyond 9 figures, filling a need and servicing women with deep skin tones. I love this conversation. It is one of the most authentic we've had. She's since exited her brand, and now we are talking about the what could have been, what should have been, and what it is. I cannot wait for you to have a listen at this. Enjoy. Welcome to the High Achieving Female Podcast powered by No, where we believe high achieving female leaders deserve to be known. Here, you're going to get the tips, tools, and inspiration you need to network, grow, scale, and balance your business, career, and life. Rachel, I'm so excited that you're here today. Welcome to the High Achieving Female Podcast.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here too.
Let's just get into it. I just have so many questions. I know that our listeners are going to be so excited to hear your story. I love your story. So let's just get into it. You started as an esthetician at 24, right?
Yeah, I actually got my esthetician license, around 22 and then 22, 23, yep. And then I launched my first medical spa in Charlotte, North Carolina at 24.
My gosh. Okay. So let's just talk about that because you have an amazing story that it just moved me when I heard it. But let's talk about how in the hell did you open a business at 24? What was life like? How did you know that you wanted to work for yourself and not someone else? Like, let's just talk a little bit about like just even starting. How did you get started?
Yeah, so it was always my dream to open my own med spa. I didn't think I would do it at 24, but after working for another med spa, my first job, I think within 6 months, I saw that there was a real opportunity that was not being met or, catered to in the Charlotte area, which was treating the skincare needs with safe and effective lasers and a little bit more like clinical treatments like chemical peels for deeper skin tones. Charlotte has a really large population of deeper skin tones, and literally those people were being turned away, from medical spas, just saying they either didn't have the education or the right equipment to treat them. And so just kind of a fire lit in me that it was my calling to open a med spa that catered to everybody and wasn't exclusive. It was actually inclusive. And so I was so scared that somebody was going to do it. And so I just kind of rushed to do it. And it was funny because really the world of skincare didn't start getting inclusive until like the last 5 years. And that was like 18 years ago. But I think actually starting a business so young, I almost had an advantage because now at this point in my life, you almost as an adult and you have all these bills and kids and responsibilities, you have more fear because I think you are just more knowledgeable. And at 24, I was like fearless because I had my abilities, and I think it worked to my benefit.
Oh, that's so true. So I started my first business in my like mid 20s. So I'm right there with you. And I look back at like some of the things that I was just like willing to do, right? It's like an analogy I use is like when I was 12, I had no problem throwing myself to like do a cartwheel. And at like 42, 41, there was no way I could like even like fathom trying to do a cartwheel, right? Just because of like the pure fear of like, I might fall on my head. But then at like 12, we're like, who cares? I'm not going to do it. You're just fearless. So I love that. So I have to ask you though, because, until we really talked about this, maybe some people don't even think about it or realize that, yeah, diverse skin tones really require it's different treatment. It's not the same for everybody. So how did you talked about the education around, and some people didn't have that education. How did seek and understand and test and try out the treatments for people with deeper skin tones?
Yeah, well, I come from a very diverse family. A lot of people have married interracially. A lot of my best friends have melanin rich skin. So initially, even in school, where I first started to notice how not inclusive the skincare industry was, I just started bringing my friends in for facials, and I immediately noticed that like my teachers were like, "Don't do this and don't do that." You could burn them. And so I really had to self educate for a long time. Like, used to go to Atlanta and take classes. I would order literally dermatology books on like, dermatology for ethnic skin, disorders in ethnic skin. But there were lasers that were safe for deeper skin tones. It's just most people weren't investing in them, or if they were, they still didn't really market that their lasers were safe for deeper skin tones because, I mean, truth be told, as much as people were maybe scared to, because darker skin tones are easier to burn, there very much is prejudice and racism, within the skincare industry, just like it is in any industry, of not believing that there's money, or whatever, whatnot. And so
Mm.
I think that I just made it my mission to make sure that as an esthetician, I could treat anybody with any skin tone.
I love that. And so you really cornered the market in Charlotte. You ended up building a large med spa, and you did that because of your inclusivity practices, right? So you're able to serve everyone. And then it opened up this whole new opportunity for you to serve more people and other people that maybe had been turned away. So I love that. And also, I think like the best businesses are rooted in when there was a need and providing a solution. So you did that. Congratulations at 24 or, 22 years old, realizing that this was your mission, and just looking at the trajectory of how you've grown. Wow. I mean, incredible. And so let's also talk about your desires to, you also started creating products, right? Let's talk a little bit about the products too, and what that looked like. How did you bring in, and it's a totally different business, right? You went from service based to product based, which is completely different. But let's talk about the idea and the concept of bringing in products. Was it so that they had an opportunity to then also continue skincare at home?
Yeah, well, the primary need of deeper skin tones, our primary concern typically is post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, which is where your skin gets dark marks and scarring from injuries like pimples, ingrown hairs, cuts, bug bites, eczema. And so I initially was carrying a bunch of different skincare lines, and I just found that it was hard to find the assortment of products for hyperpigmentation that I really needed. And then also my dream was to franchise my medical spa. And so kind of it was two things that led me to start developing products. One was I didn't really find that the skincare industry offered the broad assortment that I needed for home care products for my clients. But also it was so when I franchised the business, my franchisees would only carry my skincare products, and it'd be another stream of income. And I, at that point in time, it started treating some celebrity clients like Fantasia, Tiana Taylor, Eva Pigford, some of the housewives from Atlanta. And we weren't really active on social media. Mind you, this is like 2010, where,
Mm.
I mean, for me, it wasn't as big then. And they would come and get their products, and then they would post them. And then through just that kind of like organic marketing, people would call and say, "Oh, I don't live in Charlotte, but I want to buy your products." And so I ended up putting together a website. And I didn't really put much effort into the marketing of the products. It was really kind of just an afterthought. And then, very organically, demand just grew and grew, and to the point it was like one day I was like, wow, we're making $20,000 a month in online sales.
Wow.
And without any effort. And so slowly I started putting more effort into it. And then fast forward, eventually I was hooked up with Target, and Target ended up launching 3 of my products in 275 stores in 2017. And then just from there, the brand, the skincare brand specifically, just grew and grew and grew. And now today we're in.
Wait. Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
Sorry.
Um, because I'm sure our listeners are like, wait, what? Hold on. I have questions, right? Okay. So I'm going to make you stop there. And I want to go back to one, I just have to acknowledge, I talk a lot about scale. It's one of the things that I'm so passionate about. And I love seeing like product diversification or cross promoting or creating other solutions for like a concept you already have. So going into products was just genius. You were able to serve, your same clients and give them something else, but also something that they needed as well. But I know one of the questions that people are going to want to know is how in the heck did you get those celebrity clients? Like, how did they find you? How did you find them? What was that like? So for anyone who's listening, like trying to like break into something, tell us about that first.
It was really um, just happened. Fantasia lives in Charlotte, and her makeup artist worked for me, and we were all at a club one night, and her makeup artist introduced me to her, and then she wanted to come and start getting services. And you know through her being treated by me and some celebrity friends of hers finding out about it, it grew from there.
Mm,
That's what happened.
okay. I love that. So, and also goes back to like reputation and service. So you did a great job. She was probably, intrigued by your service, right? What you were doing for deeper skin tones, and then sought it out for herself. And then from there, like referrals and reputation, it's a true cause of, if you do a great job, then more will come, right? So that's amazing. How did you go into Target? How did you bridge that from your, you're doing 20,000 a month, you're getting some recognition, celebrities are probably doing some endorsements, or you're now into this scene, but how did you get into Target?
Yeah, so there's a huge beauty trade show called Cosmopro Prof, which is in Vegas, and I had a booth there, a very small rinky-dink booth, and next to me was a booth for a hair care company by Oprah's hairstylist called Andre Walker, and
Mhm.
their one of his consultants was there, this guy named Brad Jones, and my mom, who's really smart. She's a lawyer, has always supported me, just started talking to him. And she's like, Rachel, I really think you should talk to him. I think he could help your business. And so me and him just kind of ended up becoming friends. I ended up hiring him as a consultant. And he was like, there's this broker, most people don't know that like 90% of products sold to Target involve a broker. And he was like, this broker, handles a lot of beauty products sold to Target. I want to pitch the products to them, and most likely if they're interested, then it means Target will be interested, because they're very picky, and whoever they like, they always get into Target. And that was how it happened. It was called Moscow Group out of Minneapolis. They loved the products, and then they set up a meeting with Target, who ended up taking the products.
Were you like just blown away? What were you feeling at this time? Were you like, what in the world? Like, I knew this was going to be big. I knew this was going to be something, but oh my God, Target, are you serious? Or were you like, nope, I got this? Like, what were you thinking back then?
You know, I actually think it was all surprising, because my goal was never to be in mass retail. Like, I never even thought about it. My goal was just to have really successful med spa, and then eventually either multiple or franchise it. So the way it happened was just all very surprising and just kind of surreal.
And I want to come back to this thought too, because I know like where you are now and like where you thought you're going to be. I think that what would you say to anyone who's listening, who's maybe like in the journey, right? And I think sometimes we get stuck in like what it has to be or what we think it needs to look like. And there is like an inability to pivot. And maybe sometimes that stifles your growth. What do you say to people who are in a situation where it doesn't feel like it's working out, but maybe something else came in and presented it as an opportunity? What do you like using your experience? Would you say go with it, assess it, stay true to your vision, like give it a try? What would you say to them?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I think to be a successful entrepreneur, it's all about being able to pivot. You know what I mean? So if you can't pivot, then you probably aren't, you know, really
You're not going to be
ready
around for a long time, right? Like you're kind of just going to fall
in
flat.
general. But I would just say, one of the most important things to concentrate on is to really make sure that you have a great service or efficacious products and to really concentrate on that and doing a good job marketing it. And I think a lot of the other things will come. But so many people are just obsessed with the idea of being successful. And then I think they end up compromising on what is most important, which is a great product or service, which
Mhm.
in the end, like we're now like the world is so different than when I started my product. Everything is based on like being trendy, what's going viral on social. And I think that to have a long lasting success, you can't really chase trends in being successful. You really have to stay true to putting all your effort into like making sure what you are making and selling is great and solves a
Yes. Consistency too, right? Like be consistent.
problem. Yeah.
So spoiler alert, she did not franchise and did not open 700 locations of this med spa. She took a different route and went mass retail, and brought on this consultant to help her sort of see a different route. Do you wish that you would have franchised and just stayed with the original dream?
Oh gosh. I mean, in some ways, I wish I would have been able to do both. Something I don't really talk much about is I really struggle with ADD. I guess now they only call it ADHD. I'm not hyper though. I wish I was hyper. I really just struggle from ADD and have never taken medicine for it. I've tried and it just kind of makes me bitchy like Adderall does. But I mean, it's hard. On one hand, I think my skincare line did as well as it did because I was so laser focused on it. But on another hand, I do wish I had been able to better handle the growth of both companies because my med spa got huge. I mean, seeing an average of 200 patients a day. I had 30 employees. I had my own pharmacy within it. I mean, it was a huge operation. And at the same time, that was just growing crazy. The skincare line was scaling. And I got really overwhelmed and struggled. But in hindsight, I wish I could have done a better job and held onto the med spa because I ended up selling the med spa, which I don't necessarily regret because I wasn't happy.
Hmm.
But I wish prior to me becoming unhappy, I could have done a better job at figuring out how to streamline operations of the med spa so I didn't have to be so hands on and could have franchised it.
That's truth, right? Like that's the story people need to hear. Sometimes I think we get stuck in the like, how did you do it? How great it was, how much money someone made, how successful it looks on the outside, instead of really having those conversations of the like, you know what, I really wish I would have did this, or looking back, here's what I would change. Because as we look to empower the next generation and helping them get further faster, it's telling those stories or giving those insights that are so important, right? Like, here's what I would have done.
Oh,
And so I'm so thankful for you sharing that, because I think that's the important piece. You grew this to a massive operation. Like before, I know you ended up ultimately exiting and taking on like an investor to help really grow and build this brand, but you grew the business to an obscene amount of revenue, like that most women dream of. And I'll just say it that way. Um, you were in the, 8-figure range before you decided to take out outside funding. Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct.
And you did this with yourself, a concept that you came up with at the age of 24 years old. Like, I'm just astonished. And I just have to give you so much credit and so much like love and hype for what you started and what you built before you even went. I think sometimes people are like, okay, I'm getting tired. I need to immediately seek funding. Oh, I don't want to bootstrap. How do I make this? Like, how do I go the easy route? And not that BC is the easy route by any means, but like you did some hard work of like package design and product building and servicing clients and acquiring clients and building out, some of those operations. So, talk to us a little bit about that. Like, how important was it in that journey, right? How important do you feel it is to build first and then seek out consultants and counsel and that sort of thing?
No, I think it's really important. I mean, again, I guess I was just naive, or I was kind of living in a cave as a entrepreneur. I was so just focused that I didn't spend a lot of time, I guess, concentrating on anything other than business operations to even think that I could go out and raise money. So I guess it worked to my advantage because I did bootstrap and grow the business to, well into 8 figures on my own. I guess just understanding the business, how to grow and be profitable was just a goal. I didn't think I could go out and get money. So I think that I had an advantage there. And now that we're back in a macro environment that is difficult to raise funding, interest rates are high, investors are have really just, gotten stricter about who they're investing in. I think it's more important than ever to be self-reliant. And right now we're in a place where it's kind of profitability over growth because interest rates are so high and banks just aren't lending money. So I think it's really important.
How did you learn the business of business?
I,
So, as an esthetician, how did you learn
it was
to
self
run and build a business?
it was totally self-taught, I guess. Just I mean, I made so many mistakes, and it's interesting because when I look back on my career, I mean, I've had to be in so much counseling because I concentrate way more mistakes than I do on my successes. I'm disappointed by a lot of decisions that I made, and I'm struggling with that right now, but trying to get to a better place. But I think that it was just, I wanted to win so badly, and failure just wasn't an option to me. I think I was just born with a lot of grit, um, trying to learn from my mistakes and not repeat the same mistakes. And then also, I was a sociology major, and I think that helped me a lot with marketing. I think
Mm,
really good instincts, even though I was not ever a professional marketer. I think I am a great marketer, and that's a huge reason why my business was successful. Was one, I had a great service, and then two, I figured out how to, market it on my own. And through that combination did really well, but it was all 100% self-taught.
wow. Wow. And in 2019, you were valued at 35 million. I mean,
Correct.
that's incredible. A Charlotte-based med spa products that were primarily sold online, right? I mean, this is incredible. And then you ended up taking on some money and selling a portion of the business. You remained as CEO, like many people do, right? So you did this so that you could grow and really become a household name. Where are you now?
Yeah, so sold 52% in 2019 to a private equity firm, which I look at as a huge mistake, the biggest mistake of my career, which I think I've finally gotten to a place of forgiveness. Like, you just kind of don't know what you don't know. And, it's very, very hard as a founder to remain CEO when you no longer have control. And just the
Hmm.
dynamic of me and my private equity firm wasn't really the best. And so I really did lose control and meet very quickly. And so I was really unhappy for a long time, like the last 3, 4 years since taking that investment, and just finally made the hard decision to resign as CEO. And take myself very much out of like the day to day, the weekly, monthly operations. Like I am technically still on the board, and I'm a huge fan of the brand, but I'm really not involved anymore. But and I still own a large portion of the company. I still own over 40% of the company. So it's been a journey for me. I just finally had to make a decision that when I sold a majority stake in 2019, I got a good chunk of money, and it was just time that for me to start really prioritizing, a next chapter for myself, taking time to heal from some of the decisions I made, some of the lack of, self care, and, prioritizing my family, my new marriage, my new baby, and concentrate
Yeah.
on that. And then eventually work on a new business chapter and turning the money that I did get for selling, a majority stake, and make sure that, I turned it into something good.
This is what I want to say because on the outside looking in, many people would say that was 100% a success, Rachel. Like you have no reason to be upset. You actually won, right? But what I love is I'm obsessed. First of all, I'm obsessed with telling this story now. Like I want everyone to hear the story because you're just so transparent. And on the outside looking in, so many people, like when we hear these exit stories and we're like, wow, look at that. She did the damn thing, right? But it's you who is the one who's saying, you know what? Like, I'm sitting here and I'm not happy with how things turned out and I'm disappointed in some things and I maybe wish that things would have went a different way or one of the things that you said to me which I thought was incredible advice when looking at funding or looking at taking on investors, you said the biggest thing that you would have done or that you would recommend anyone does is to make sure that the person they're taking money from knows the industry, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I picked a partner that had not ever done a deal in beauty, and I think that that was one of the biggest mistakes. Was you really, especially if you're selling a majority stake, but even if you're not, raising capital shouldn't just be for funding. It should be for a strategic partner that can bring on resources, has synergies, can open doors, bring knowledge, has proven success in, you know, your industry. And we just didn't speak the same language. And
Mm-hmm.
it was really, really hard. They're not bad people by any means, but we just were not on the same page. And it just was really, really difficult. I mean, another thing which who would have known? And it's just like this is an insane story. But 6 months after the company being valued at 34 million, when I got investment, the company was doing about $12 million in revenue. And 6 months after the investment, we went viral on TikTok. And this was kind of the very beginning of TikTok when virality on TikTok was just starting. And this girl that had very few followers ended up posting a before and after picture of using our products, even said she bought the product at Sephora, which our products weren't sold at Sephora, did like a hashtag 3 week clear skin challenge. And it ended up, when I say blowing up, like we went viral on a way that you can even buy our cleansing bars for like three months damn near. And our revenue that year went from 12 million to like 24 million, and the company would have been valued at about nine figures, over $100 million.
Wow.
So if I had literally just waited 6 months for an investment, I could have exited my brand for probably $100 million.
Oh my goodness.
And
Who
that
would have known?
was,
Oh my
it
God.
was,
Oh.
nobody's fault. It was just
That's
one of
right.
those things that you do just, of course, are going to kick yourself and be like, what the F?
Don't get stuck in those what ifs, like, oh my gosh. I think you've done very well. I am so excited to know you and to have you be part of No. You are just such a badass to me, and I'm just so impressed with your story. And I just can't wait to continue to tell it and share it because your story is, I mean, we've barely cracked the surface, but your story is like the American dream, like all wrapped up into like all of these twists and turns and whatnots and what could have beens and like super success with mistakes and everything. Like it's such a beautiful story. And I'm just so thankful to have you and for you to share that. You mentioned that you're recently married and you have a baby and you have an older one too. I know. And now you're really focused on like a new season in life. Talk to us about like what's happening now, what's happening next. I know you like dropped a little something on the horizon for business, something totally different, but just talk to us about like where you are right now.
Yeah. So needing to get better at saying no. I've been a little bit all over the place over these last 2 months. I think at first when I quit my sorry. At first when I quit my job, I think I was just angry, scared, like so many different things that I just started like saying yes to everything from planning a huge beauty event in Charlotte to like mentoring and helping all these people. And I was just so scared of becoming irrelevant. And now I'm like, okay, my dream is to get into the boutique hotel world, and I have been working on a business plan for that, which I don't see me, starting that business for probably at least a year or two. But now that I'm in a better place about leaving my business, I'm like, gosh, I'm so busy and all over the place helping so many different people, doing so many different things that I need to go back to taking more time for myself. But I have 100% been prioritizing my kids, and I see it paying off. Like my
Mm.
11-year-old daughter and I am spending so much time with her, and I've already seen us get so much closer. I'm like cooking for my husband, helping him with his business. Like there are a lot of things that I am doing. I am going to Pilates 3 days a week, doing more doctor's appointments. But I'm like, I need to get to making these photo albums. I need to be organizing. I need to like all these things I dreamed of doing. I need to like get to start doing. So
You're in like nesting mode. You're like, I think it's so funny. But I love this because oftentimes we forget and we lose sight or we get busy or business requires so much that we don't get to do these things, the simple things in life, the important things in life.
yep, totally.
How do people find you? Because you have a really cool Instagram that I love and you're really real in it and on it. So if someone wanted to connect or follow you, where do they find you?
I am currently on Instagram with the handle at Urban Skin Founder. But depending when you listen to this podcast, I am about to change my handle to at the Rachel Roff. So if you can't find me as Urban Skin Founder in the next month or two, check out at the Rachel Roff.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here today. We're just starting, ladies. So if you're listening to this, you're going to see more of Rachel like really soon. So get ready. And thank you for taking the time to share your story. It has been such an amazing time with you. And yeah, thanks for inspiring us.
Well, thank you so much. This was really fun.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the High Achieving Female Podcast powered by No, where we believe it's time for high achieving women like you to be seen, heard, and recognized. Until next time, remember, you deserve to be known.